Welcome to a very special edition of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhans. Could not be more stoked because we've been online buddies for some time. Emilee Capogni is in the building. Very happy to have you here. She's a bassist, content creator. She's going to give us all the goods today. Emilee, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's always
I'm
fun.
so excited. I think what happened first was I want to say it was a Johnny Kelly of Typo Negative interview, something like that. It was definitely one of the bands that I'm an uber fan of. And I was like, wait, who is interviewing them? Who is lucky enough to do that? How did you fall into this?
Okay, COVID hit. I was just doing bass covers at that time, came back from NAM, had my bass page. Then
Mm,
I've always been in the music industry since about '07.
mhm.
And you meet a lot of people, of course. Andy Ford, he does radio, Razor Radio. He hits me up and he's like, "Hey, you've been in the industry for a long time. How would you feel about interviewing bands?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm a little shy, man." He's like, "You'll have fun. I think you'd do really good at it." Got into it that way, started off in radio, and then you know, life happens. You just decide to go off and do your own thing. So then I moved on to my own podcast, and that's where I started getting bigger people.
Okay, what is that podcast called? Give us all the details so we can hit it up.
I never really gave it a name. I go with that Metal Mermaid podcast just because my nickname in this industry has always been Mermaid. So I kind of always stuck with that when I do write my promo emails. I never say it on the thing, but hey, I guess that's what I call it.
I love it. Where did the mermaid thing come from?
So I have this is all a lie. I
The
actually
hair.
have curly hair. So and I got
Oh,
sick of it and I started straightening it. But as a kid, I had curly hair, and everyone's like, "You have mermaid hair." Then throughout the industry, they all called me mermaid. Hey, dude, mermaid's here. So it became like a whole thing.
oh my God. Okay. Well, because it's straight and beautiful and red, just for anybody that isn't, listening to the audio version now. And it's giving Ariel. We love Ariel. It is. We love it so much. And red is a very metal color too. It suits you. I love it.
Thank you.
So I would love to hear about the origin of your bass story. You've been playing for some time now. I love the covers that you do online. You do a lot of my favorite songs. How did you fall in love with bass?
So as a kid, me and my dad would always watch music DVDs during like New Year's Eve, and he slips in this Motley Crue and the one that has Samantha Maloney from Hole during that time, and we always
Oh,
watch the live versions. And I'm like, you see Nikki Six on the like thing doing the monitor doing like where he's going back and forth with the bass. I'm like, I want to do that. And so yeah, I was like, for because he's not an amazing bass player, but at the same time, I hate when people put skill level in there. I think it's about showmanship on top of everything. Because if you can't put on a
yes.
show for your fans, what's the point? And
Right.
he always does that. He's been insane forever. And I was like, I want to do that. My parents brought me fifth grade, brought me in to get a bass. First one was Ibanez. It was a blue one. I forgot exactly what model it was. And from there, they got me lessons. And my bass instructor, he's like, dude, I'm gonna bring you to NAM '07. So I think I started in '05, and I went followed Nikki Six around all day, and I met him. He not a nice guy. I'm not gonna lie. I walk up.
Really?
Yeah, I have a Thunderbird Gibson right here. That was like my second bass. My parents were like, you love Motley Crue. We're getting you that. And I walk up. I was like, my parents got me the same bass as you. Oh my god, you're my favorite. Like kind of fangirling. I'm a kid. I'm in like seventh grade, and
Right.
he's like, that's cool. And
Ah,
I was like, that's cool. What?
underwhelming.
Yeah.
Underwhelming.
And I'm like, maybe it's because I look like a woman at that time. I don't know, because you're wearing the makeup and stuff. And then from there, I was like, I don't know if I want to keep playing bass. And then my instructor's like, you're still playing. And then shows me Geddy Lee from Rush. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
my new idol. Oh my God. And from there, like I just kept doing covers and cover. Well, because that's what you do in what you call it, music class. That's what you do basically.
Mhm.
And then from there, I went to Musicians Institute, and I went there for a few years, learned some stuff, did live performances, and then I kind of just drifted off and like didn't play bass for a while. And then NAM 2020 came around, and I was like, let's get back into this. And I started doing the bass covers on Under Emilee Bassist.
Wow. Okay. Kudos to your instructor for keeping you motivated then. So
Yeah.
it sounded like the way that they did this was just by introducing you to a lot of music. and
Yeah.
constantly keeping you interested and inspired with all these new sounds that you were hearing and all these new sounds that you wanted to try. For the gear nerds listening, what are you playing with lately?
So my favorite one to play with is my 4003 Rickenbacker. It's a 2017 Midnight Blue. That's my go-to in every cover. If it's not that, it's my 1982 4001. It's the tuxedo white one. And
Mhm.
then I use a orange only for amps. I use a AD 200B MK3 for the head, and I use an OBC 410 for the cab. And then my amazing endorsement of Frost Giant Electronics. He has like Bass Mountain, and it's amazing. It gives me all my tone. I could play typo, I could play Lupe, I could play anything, and it just I don't even have to move the knobs. It covers it perfectly.
Wow. So that whew, I'm learning so much already. That's how you get the sound. Like just a lot of pedals, a lot of things like that.
It's just one pedal I use, not gonna lie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could use many, but I try to stick with my endorsement. I am working on a pedal board endorsement where I could use other pedals
Hmm.
that my pedal maker doesn't make that he approves of. And once I get that going, I will show it. I'm working with rock board by Warwick. So we talked to Nam. I'm gonna build a board with them because eventually the whole goal of this Emilee bassist thing is to join some band and go on tour. That's the whole goal.
Oh, that's what we want. And preferably a metal band. Are we strictly a metalhead or do we listen to other things?
The thing is, everyone sees me as this metal because I dress metal. I cover a lot of metal because when I
Right.
cover like Bruno Mars or Dua Lipa or Pink, I don't get any views. I'm like, okay, well, those are like,
Rude.
yeah. And it's like, dude, like that's where I would love to go. I'd love to be in Pink. I would love to be in Bruno
Mhm.
Mars, Sabrina Carpenter. Like,
This is her
yeah,
summer. This is her summer. I'm telling you, she's everywhere, and I'm
she's a
obsessed too.
badass.
I love the synth and the bass lines that she uses now. She's sort of bringing that like 80s synth pop like sound back a little bit. And
Yeah.
when I hear her each time, I'm all for it. I can totally see you in Pink's band too. I feel like you would gel with her vibe. I've seen her live once, and I will pay every single time she comes to town. Like she's that new artist for me right now. Like
Yeah,
you're.
she's amazing.
Well, let's talk about this. There's always that one band or that one artist that every time they come to your town, you will pay money to go see them. For me, that list is Opeth. That list is Mastodon. That list is Aerosmith and Motley Crue too. Usually, if I can, honestly, Guns N' Roses is on that list as well. Who is on your list?
So mine's kind of like a mixture because I love a lot of deathcore and I love a lot of metalcore. I'll always go see Motionless in White. They put on a
Mm,
hell of a show. Chris Motionless,
yes.
love you. I saw him in Idaho with my best friend. Had bronchitis, still put on a show for us. That's how he's amazing.
Yeah.
Knock Loose is another one.
Mm,
Spite's underrated for deathcore. Another band out because Darius always puts on a show. He's there. He actually like doesn't just stand there. He like is actually putting on a show, and that's what I'm looking for every time I
hmm.
go.
Yeah, talking about that dedication, Foo Fighters is on that list for me too because I saw Dave like Throne era,
Yeah,
broken foot Dave, broken ankle Dave. I don't remember what it was. Or did he break his leg? I think he broke his leg.
I think he
Anyway,
did.
the Throne era. I saw Throne era Dave, and then I saw when he was healthier, and I was like, that is so cool to come
Yeah,
up with an idea and do what you can to give your fans, the best show possible. The
I
big
agree.
metal guitar throne was so fun. Love the showmanship. Tell me about if you do end up with that band someday and you do end up where you want to be. I'm going to say when, firstly. Secondly, what do you envision your stage presence to be like? What would you want to do with it?
I definitely have never been a bassist that you put behind the drummer because if you notice, a lot of times they do that. When I used to
Yeah.
perform live as a kid or like even as an adult, I'm all over the place. I've seen videos, like I look back at videos, I was like, how the hell did I land on my knees and then jump back up and still play? That's the type of playing maybe in the covers because I get a lot of comments. You're doing the same thing in every video. What do you want me to do? Walk in and out of
What
frame? The thing is, like, that makes no
well,
sense in my
right.
opinion. The thing is, I want to put on a show. I want to have my wireless. I have a wireless system. I just don't use it in my videos. Um, I love to be all over the stage. Even you know how like Another band, Ice Nine Kills. I'd love to be like Spencer, jump out in the crowd, man. He just like
Hmm.
he trusts his fans so much. It's so insane.
Yeah, it's impressive. And you make a good point. It's like, what else would you? Because a lot of what I see is short form video from you. It's shot
Yeah.
vertically. It's shot vertically, so there's only so much room you have to really move around. So it's awesome to hear that you would want to take full advantage of the
Yeah.
stage when that time comes. Just a quick rundown of the list of musicians that you've interviewed for somebody who doesn't know. Doro is on that list. Becky
She is.
Baldwin is on that list.
She is.
Dino from Fear Factory is on that list. Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative is on that list. You are growing a very impressive list behind you with everybody that you've interviewed. Do you think that being a musician yourself makes it easier to interview these icons?
I think it makes you where you can ask better questions because I was interviewing oh what do you call it, Tony Campos the other day, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
at the end of the interview he's like I just love that you made it all bass driven compared to like most interviews where it's like okay dude I'm all about bass. Most of the people I interview are bass players because it makes more sense to me. Yes, I can interview singers and drummers and guitarists and keyboardists, but at the same time I can cover anything bass, talk about it, know what they're talking about. And I feel like that's what helps. Like I watched a lot of Becky Baldwin's videos. That was before we even became friends. She's a really good friend of mine now. And we're
Mhm.
talking about her finger picking in the interview and we're just understanding it. I think it helps a lot to know what they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, but it's also good that you're open to interviewing really anybody, any position. I
Yeah.
mean, is there anybody left that you would want to interview? Because Johnny Kelly on Typo is bucket list for me.
That
So
was
is there,
bucket list for me.
was it? I would imagine so. And that was, you asked a fantastic question in that interview too. You were like, dude, being the legend that you are and being in the thousands of bands that this man has been in his, what, 30 or 40-year career at
Right.
this point, is there anything left? So I want to ask you the same thing. Is there anybody left on your list that you would want to
I
interview?
I'd love to interview like I don't think it's out of reach, but for me, I think right now at this period of my life, it might be a little. I love to interview like someone like Chris Motionless. I'm a big Motionless and White fan, or someone
Mm,
for Knock Loose, or Darius is not too out of reach. But like these are the bands I listen to consistently. They're like what I've learned. So at the end of the month, I'm gonna interview Billy Sheehan. That's another bucket list one for me. The thing is, it's not all out of reach. You just got to shoot your shot. But this year has definitely been one I've accomplished a lot of my bucket list. Cone from Sum 41 was one of my bucket lists. Johnny Kelly was another one.
mm.
Tony Campos was on my list for a year, well, years, and he wrote me back. He's like, "Yeah, I'll be back this time. We'll do it." Dora was another one. Dora was a fun one too. So
Yeah.
she was cool, but she's one of those people that talks and you don't not want to interrupt. She has all the stories.
Yes, she want. Yes, exactly. I feel like so many interviewers forget that. They forget to just. It's okay for there to be like a little bit of silence between, and let that person just talk and do what it is that they do. Break down the process of. I mean, it's for me. It's intimidating when I reach out to anybody like that too, and for anybody that wants to do what you and I do. How did you? Were you ever intimidated? And how did you get over it?
So it was really intimidating writing labels because I get a lot of my interviews through contacting them directly, like talking to Becky Baldwin. That's how I got the interview with her. Same with Billy Sheehan, same with Tony Campos. Those were a little intimidating because they can leave you unseen. But the ones that I feel are the most
Okay.
intimidating is going after like labels and PR because you have to write them and at the same time, like, how many followers do you have? How many views do you have? Dude, and it's like,
Yeah, I worry
dude,
about that
I
too.
just, I'm just like at the same time I'm like, dude, how do I supposed to become Eddie Trunk if you're not going to give me my start? You
Oh,
know,
is Eddie the goal? Is he the blueprint?
my goal would be Jose Mangan, the dude from
Yes.
Furious, but I
Yeah.
feel like the dude that's the top dog in the like metal rock scene has always been Eddie Trunk. Everyone knows who him. But if I can be anyone, it'd be Jose. I look up to that guy so much. He's one
Yeah.
I'd love to interview. I'd love to have him on.
Yeah. So are you in their DMs? Are you finding their email? All
Both.
the above. All the above. Yeah. I think you have to do both anymore
Oh, I
because you're
slide in
never
the DM. I'm just kidding.
But you almost have to anymore because you don't really know like what somebody's using most often, what's going to catch their eye sooner rather than later. I love that you're a big proponent of women supporting women too. I hear that in your voice. I see that in your content. Why is that important to you?
Because a lot of times men treat women like crap in this industry, and I've been
Yeah.
torn down. I've been told the meanest things in the world. I've been, hey, if you hook up with me, I'll give you all the contacts. And it's like,
Oh.
yeah, I have so many
Uh,
stories in this industry where it's like, it's upsetting. And then like when chicks want their start, like I've had so many people I've offered help to, and like, hey, if you ever need any like advice, let me know, I'll give you any advice. It's important for they don't get taken advantage of. I've been taken advantage of. I've been treated like crap, and it's not fair, and I don't want women to go through that.
Yeah. And it has to be a sisterhood, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think the only people that are going to understand that struggle, the only people that are going to like genuinely look out for each other, I would imagine are other women sometimes. It's a shame to say that, but I've seen a, a little bit. Of course, we're not going to say all, but a little bit of what you're talking about too, just in the radio industry, not necessarily the metal industry, but the radio industry too, and that's a big part of why I got out of it, to be honest. There was so much misogyny and
Mhm.
chauvinism, and I could tell that I was going to be held back and, not get to be as creative as I wanted to be. I mean, do you find that you've got a fair amount of creative freedom in what you do?
Here and there. I mean, it depends on where I'm going with it. Like when I do my covers, I feel like because a lot of people don't understand, it's what I want to cover, and I'll cover sometimes what they choose. But at the same time, like some people are very vicious about it, and it's like when I do Tony Campos covers, oh, one string Emilee's playing, and it's like, dude, it's not about how many notes you can play. It's about you playing it and you groove into it and showing that you can stay in time. The thing about Tony Campos bass lines is if you don't stay in time, you can tell with Static X. So I feel like you get some freedom, but at the same time, you get like crucified. Like the other day on my DD Vernon interview, you feel like you have the freedom to put out stuff like that, but you get the nastiest comments where like, is that a man or is that a woman? Her interviews are
Oh,
cringy. Oh, you get the freedom, but at the same time, you get the criticizing at the same time. I feel like you get it, but at the same time, you have a lot of criticizing you still have to deal with,
what
in my
what keeps
opinion.
you going? What keeps you doing it?
Because I get so many messages like a week saying how inspiring and how I motivate them, and how if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't want to do this, or they picked up a bass or guitar or drums because of me. And I'm just like, okay. And like there's been times it's hard to pick it up, but at the same time, if I can keep going and pushing these people to want to be a musician or even an interviewer. Like I've given other one the last interview I did, I gave the dude so much advice on how to keep going and how to get interviews. I'm willing to do anything to help someone else in this industry.
Yeah. And that's to me, that is what I would love to see more of that collaborative effort for sure. Just out of curiosity, who's got your ear lately when it comes to music?
This is where I go back to Motionless in White's my go-to. Ice Nine Kills right now too,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm super into horror. We're coming up on Halloween, and I don't know, like they're just one of those bands that come on, like Welcome to Horrorwood. You got Hip to Be Scared when you're with about American Psycho. Stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
interested me. But at the same time, when I'm not listening to metal, I like some Sabrina Carpenter. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you have to go down that road. Sometimes I listen to like Head P. I listen to everything. That's
Oh my
just
God. Head PE shows are a lot of fun too, by the way. I don't know why, but they randomly were in my city in like rural Minnesota, like just at a bar one time a few years ago. And I was like, that's just going to be fun to go to. And I mean, they played Head PE songs, but they also did just like these one off, reggae sounds, a little bit of Pantera. And I was like, what? It's just, they're fun to watch. I
what year
love
was
listening to
that?
them. This must have been, I want to say 2016 or 2017,
Oh, I know the
somewhere.
guitar player. Then that's why they were doing a lot of Pantera. His name's Greg
Okay.
Harrison. He's a
Yes.
big Pantera fan.
Gregzilla. Did they call him Gregzilla? I think that's what it was. Okay. That's coming back to me now. But yes, and I was like, this is just a fun atmosphere. Like, this was just a fun show to go to. Like, music aside, this was just enjoyable to watch. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Solid guy. I met him when I was in Musicians Institute. He was a guitar instructor, and
Oh, okay.
his best friend that also was a bass instructor introduced me. That's when he had
Oh,
PDP, a good
okay.
band. If you like Meshuggah, good band.
Yes, I do love Meshuggah. I'm impressed by Thomas all the time with, with the drumming. Like, I'm not a drummer, but I can imagine what he does is difficult.
Yeah.
If I were. So you talked a little bit about how important it was to stay in time. For the non-musician, let's break that down a little bit. Is that just staying on the beat? What does that mean?
So if you look at a lot of bands, it's all about grooving. If you're not grooving with the drums specifically, because we are the rhythm section,
Yes.
then what's the point? Kind of like you need, and that's even if you're just playing one simple note the whole entire time. You have to be locked in, like you're like basically a clock together. Because that's if you're not on time, no one else is on time. You know?
Okay. I got it. So you're people are literally looking to you two to keep count.
Yeah.
Is
Well, I don't know exactly the bass player, but if you like we're rhythm, so we have to stay as a whole, like we're a team. You know?
okay. Makes sense. So what's next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you?
So I do a lot of articles with This Day in Metal right now. So I have one dropping with Skinny from Mushroomhead. That's gonna be dropping. We
Fun.
have Tony Campos dropping. Then on my side thing, I have Lindsay Schoolcraft. That one's gonna be a good one. She's a sweetie pie. Love her so much. Fun interview. I had a great time with her. Then I am in talks with Pete Seal from Flyleaf to do an interview. Rob from Bully for Soup. That's another one that's in the works. Yeah,
Wow.
I keep really busy. I could name like dude Rob Sen from the Distillers, another one that's in the works. I stay
That's
busy with
amazing.
interviews.
Keep going. Keep going. I can't wait to see what's next. Emilee, thanks for sitting down with me and thanks for talking music.
Anytime, man. Thank you.